you are very welcome to my channel. In today's project, I am using a simple layering technique to show that you can use very inexpensive images to really produce gorgeous looking cards. If you want to try this yourself, you will need a die that has some prominent features on it. It needs to have embossed lines of some kind so that you will be able to cut out the images and layer them up. And the stamp would need to have some features to it as well that you can fussy cut out. I paired these today with this set from Altenew. I bought it recently, and when I buy something like this, I have to be sure that I'm going to get great use out of it. This frame with dots and this decal edge and this really interesting looking one, it didn't cut terribly well in my Gemini Junior, and the problem was that I should have run it through a couple of times. When I put it back into the die and ran it through again, it worked no problem at all. I adhered the white on top of the silver. The silver didn't cut, it was too thick. I would have needed a shim or something. I will need to experiment in my Gemini Junior to see how to get heavier card stocks to cut. It probably won't be a problem. Those dots are really interesting, but this cried out to me that it needed a little stitching, so I ran some baker's twine around the edge, and I thought it was a really interesting look. Now, you wouldn't need to do this at all with this die. The dots are lovely, but there are just so many different ways you can use things. This is the die, cheap as chips, just over $3. I used scrap card to cut it out. I used my little desktop machine to do the die cutting for this project because I was going to be cutting so many small images. It was really handy to have this at hand. I bought this one really inexpensively in my local discount store, but a lot of manufacturers produce them. And you can see that this particular die has lots and lots of features in it. It partially die cuts, and it has lots of parts like the scarf and the hat and the eyes and the buttons and gloves and lots of bits that you can layer up. So you would need a die that could do that. I use a bit of press and seal to pick up a base layer because I need one that's fully intact. So I seal it on the back with double-sided tape. And now that's a base for me to adhere all the bits and pieces to. This is a very quick project. Some little bits are fiddly. I had this done in no time at all. The stars were probably the most finicky part of the lot. I used scraps to cut the different bits and pieces because all you need to do is cover the bits on the die that you need at any particular time. On the fourth layer, I did the colouring. I used Spectrum Noir alcohol markers and just had a bit of fun. You could use any colouring medium that you like for this. And when I went wrong, that wasn't a problem. I knew I could just add extra layers. This was great fun, like making up a jigsaw. And when I realised the bit of the scarf was missing, I had to find it among my scraps. There's a great satisfaction in just sitting with paper and scissors and markers, creating something lovely out of what feels like scraps of paper. Card making projects can so often involve elaborate techniques. This was just very relaxing. I used holographic paper for the stars. Holographic paper can be very overwhelming in a project. There's a nice twinkle from it if you use it in moderation. Adds great interest to a project. The marker on the fur trim of the hat added great dimension to the project as well. To assemble the card, I used the panel with the stitching and a dove grey panel with a decal edge, and I cut some snowbanks in that panel because I wanted to be able to insert the snowman in the lower one. Then I used this interesting centerpiece from the die set and covered it with holographic card. The only time I took out an ink pad during this project was to add some clouds to the sky behind the snowman. I thought that extra detail added a richness to the project, and I used thin foam tape to back the three pieces in the background, making sure to leave a space to be able to insert the snowman and the panel that I thought imitated a fence or something interesting in the background. Now, it was the most difficult thing to adhere. I should have backed it with more pieces to stiffen it, then it would have been easier to insert into the gap that I had left in the snowbanks. But I managed with a dry cloth, and by just taking care. I popped up the snowman with some foam tape, added glue to other parts. I popped up the gloves as well, and I just teased him into place. I love the dimension. It's not too much, it will fit in an envelope no problem, but it really looks nice. The sentiments I got from two old Hero Arts sets, one creating a Christmas branch and one creating a Christmas tree. Let it snow and Merry Christmas. Stamped them with VersaFine Onyx Black ink in my Misty stamping tool. Here I'm doing the Merry Christmas. I use my magic bag to make sure there's no static cling. I ink the stamp up well. This is a tool I made myself to imitate the ones that I see the crafters using. I just wanted to see how my arthritic hands would respond to being able to use something I could grip really nicely. It's the lid of my favourite perfume on a wood-mounted block. So I heat emboss with clear embossing powder over the VersaFine, and I don't recommend doing this over your Misty stamping tool. I should have taken out my waffle flower media mat. And here I'm just showing I cut a decal edge around the Merry Christmas. You can do that in your die cutting machine. I have a Gemini Junior. I decided in the end not to use it, and I did what I often do. I just fussy cut out around the greeting, leaving an edge. Popped it up with foam tape, and I applied it to the card, and I thought that looked really nice. I assembled it with glue and double-sided tape, and I think it's looking great. That holographic card is really nice. It's amazing the way it picks up different colours when you tilt it in the light. The stamped card I did in exactly the same way as the die cut one. That's why I didn't leave much of it in this video. I built up the layers, and after 4 layers I coloured the bits and applied them to the card and added the twinkle in the end, which makes a big difference. That Nouveau shimmer pen is absolutely gorgeous. Here I coloured some bubbles with my black alcohol marker, and I think it made gorgeous eyes. You can do that with alcohol markers. They are permanent when you apply them to any surface. I used the panel that you saw me preparing at the beginning of this video, popped up the snowman with some double-sided tape, and used sentiments from the Hero Arts sets again. Really gorgeous. If you would like to know what anything was that I used in this video, just click on Show More below the video for a list of the products used. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I would love if you would subscribe to my channel. If you click on the bell below the video, YouTube will notify you when I upload my videos. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. That's really important. And if you'd like to leave a comment, I'd love to talk to you and I'd love to hear your opinions. All the best for now. Do take great care of yourselves. Bye.